Well, here's two Marlin 1894s, and I got some more Ranger Point precision parts here in the American tradition of innovation. Actually, what happens is, if you got a great product like in a Marlin 1894 or, Harley Davidson's like this too. You ever hear the Harley Davidson problems that come up even when they have a new model? What happens is that the machinist innovate a method to fix whatever part is wrong, and the aftermarket companies, the private enterprises, fix whatever defect there is in an otherwise great product. So Marlin, as you know, was taken over by Remington, and in the beginning it had a lot of problems. Well, I still think they got some kind of problems, because actually when I got this Marlin 1894 and 44 Magnum, it was jamming up. The lever was jamming up when I had it out like that. No longer. I modified the lever. Now also, Ranger Point Precision does sell levers too. They'll sell one that's in between a standard loop and a wide loop. It's a little bit, you know what, I like that. I might get one of those and check it out. I might get one for this, because I had to modify this lever, and if it works good with the Ranger Point replacement lever with a mid-size hoop, then I know the problem was the lever. If it doesn't, since I know they're manufacturing it exactly correct, there's another issue within this rifle. Either way, this thing cycles fairly well now. But I also want to point out before I go over the product here, which is actually the screw here for the lever. One comes in, you can get it stainless steel or you can get it in blue. So I put the blue one on the 357. You can see what it looks like. It really blends in. If you don't like the way this looks with the stainless steel, I don't know. To me, it looks fine. I might get Skinner sight on this. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm going to put the scope on it or the Skinner sight or whatever, but I'm not 110% sure yet on a 44. But I just installed the thumb screw that you could take down the rifle by just unscrewing this. It's freaking way better. You got enough on there to grab onto to unscrew it, because the way to get the bolt out of the back is you bring this down like that. You unscrew this, take the lever down, and the bolt comes out. So if you can do a field stripping cleaning, okay? And when you take the bolt out, you can actually get all this cleaned out in here. If you just hold the rifle like this, the lever out and the bolt out, spray it out with some brake clean and oil it, you're good to go. So to me, using the screwdriver in this every time is a pain in the butt. And if you do use the screwdriver, you make sure you use a gunsmithing type screwdriver. They're cut different. So the Ranger Point aftermarket thumb screw for the lever eliminates that garbage where you got to use a screwdriver to do a field strip down on the rifle and remove the bolt and clean it. I also got, I want to mention this before the other product I got from Ranger Point, is that, and this was kind of hard to find, I didn't try this out yet. I noticed I was trying to cycle through Winchester brass ammo through the 44 mag, and some people have said that the Remington brass, and it wasn't even on a video, it was in one of those blogs or something, cycles through the Remington era Marlin rifles better than the Winchester brass. There must be a slight difference in the brass, and that could be, I don't know. And the other thing is too, as you use it, say you're using this Winchester brass and it doesn't like the Winchester brass as much as the Remington, the rifle could wear into the Winchester brass. But I'm going to try the Remington 44 Magnum and see how it cycles through. I also got some dummy rounds coming, so I'm going to cycle through a bunch of this thing through a bunch of times to see if it wears in a lot better. But I also have another product from Ranger Point, which is the extractor, and this thing has, instead of having that little like leaf spring thing on there, it has ejector. I know I was saying it wrong. The ejector that's actually in the wait a minute, the extractor. Excuse me, the extractor. That's the ejector is on the side of the receiver itself. The extractor is in the bolt. You got to knock out a little pin to get the ejector out, and you replace it. The old one has a, what do you call it, it's like a leaf spring, I guess, or like a bobby pin spring or something like that, a little bobby pin spring. This one has like a little coil spring, and you can see it's got a plastic sleeve on here that when you pull the sleeve out, you know, it's so this doesn't pop out, you know, when you're installing it. When you're installing it, after you take out the old extractor, you take the sleeve off, you keep that spring compressed, and you install it, and they give you an extra spring in case one pops out. I always found that when I use these, I do gun parts, I do these little parts, I like working in a little box, like a box about this big. So more than likely, if a part flies out, it'll hit the side of the box, and it'll fall in the box. Or if I drop it, it falls right in the box. That's what I usually do. Just a regular cardboard box, preferably a white box, but any, you know, tan cardboard box will work fine. And, you know, if it's a white box, you can see these little black parts really easy. But anyway, either way, you can find them pretty easy. And that's what I do. I'll be installing that next week. And there could be an issue. You know, I did take the stock ejector and extractor and polish the side of it, because when the round comes in, it actually hits the side of both the ejector, which is this thing, and the extractor, which is on the bolt, and that could actually contribute to feeding issues. Theirs is a different, more rounded design on the edge. It'll extract and eject a lot better and throw the rounds out a lot better, but it won't interfere with the feeding. It'll be a lot smoother feeding. See, this thing, the lever on both of these work really well when you're cycling it without ammo. When you're throwing some brass in it, sometimes you got to double latchet, whatever you want to call it, double ratchet the lever a little bit to get it in there. Only when you're cycling ammo. It could be because I'm using, I know it says Remington Magnum, but it's Winchester ammo. It might be, and some people have told me that the Winchester brass is slightly different from the Remington, and sometimes the Remington brass cycles smooth as butter and Winchester won't, or vice versa. And it might be true because, you know, they got Winchester rifles that are of lever actions that are used at 44, and Marlin might, you know, since it's taken over by Remington, might be more tuned for Remington brass. That might be the truth, you know, I don't know. We're going to find out about that too. So, but if this thing works out good for the 44, and I'm going to check it a bunch with the dummy ammo, and I'm waiting for that before I install this and put it in, I'm going to get one for this. And since I modified this lever, I'll probably get the mid-loop lever for this. And you notice I already wrapped up both these levers with some leather. I just made that myself. Just took an old belt. In this case, I had some left over from some leather riding chaps on my motorcycle. You know, didn't cost me nothing. And I have the leather sling. To tell you the truth, the leather sling, this one came from Montana Slings. I like this one probably, well, I don't know, they're both really nice. But the sling is actually, like I said, is a very good, it's more important than the scope or even having good sights, the sling. Because when you have a sling, you could set yourself up like a tripod. You could take your arm and put it in here like this, wrap it around. God, if I could do this. Yeah, I'm doing this one-handed, sorry. Wrap it around like that. And your elbow gets tucked into your body. And you become like a little mini tripod, even if you're standing up in the offhand position. So your arm, your hand is locked into the sling, which is locked into the back of the rifle, which is locked, your hand is to the front of the rifle, and this elbow goes into your chest. It makes the weapon a lot more steady. The sling is actually more important for accuracy than the sights or anything like that, believe it or not. You know, it's amazing people ignore that so much. I don't know why. It's amazing. The sling actually can really lock you in really tight. And if you're in other positions, just like sitting or kneeling or something like that, when you got that sling, man, you're really locked in, more so than the offhand. If you're like, kind of like a modified sitting position or something, or a modified kneeling position, you're really not locked in with that sling. And I might get, later on in a few months, is a 30-30 in Marlin, 1894, again, because once I understand this weapon very well, and I'll be getting these parts from these guys, because I'll probably upgrade all of them. In other words, the Marlin 30-30 is going to have this knurled screw on it. It'll have the extractor and the this pretty much fits all of them, I guess. And I was looking at it, you know. You know, it's not hard to put them in. It's not hard to put them in. It really puts in all of them. And you know, I also read that the one that has the most issue, the 30-30s will work better than the pistol calibers. And of the, you know, just the way the nature of the round, it's a longer round. I don't know, it works better, it feeds it better. When you have a shorter round, I mean, not that they don't work. I mean, it can get work perfect, 100% reliable if you get them tuned up right. The pistol caliber rounds have a tendency to have the most problems, you know, feeding and ejecting. That's what I read. I don't know if that's 100% true, but, you know, that makes sense because they're a little shorter, you know. You got less of a, you know, if the angle's off a little bit, and it's going to make a big difference to me. That's maybe what it is. I don't know. But they said the 44 is the one that would be likely the one to have the most, the 44 Magnum, problem feeding and ejecting. Not that they don't work really good when they're right, but that's the most likely. So that's the 44 I got. It seems to be pretty good. Pretty good, not 100%. But we're going to get 100% with some of these aftermarket parts. I'm anxious to try this out, but like I said, I want to install this. We're going to get the dummy rounds and see how it works. And also I'm going to try to get some Remington ammo. You know, I know it says Remington Magnum, but this Winchester made. Not that there's nothing wrong with Winchester, but I have heard that these later model Remingtons, Marlins that are made by Remington or Freedom Arms, actually are, they work better with the Remington ammo. And, you know, maybe that's true even with the older Marlins, too. I don't know. Maybe that's true, too. So, and once I find this out, what I'll do is I'll just buy a bunch of Remington brass and reload them. I got all the reloading dies and stuff. I got reloading dies for like all kinds of stuff. Even a 30-30, even though I don't own one yet. So, anyway. Let's see how this works out. And like I said, you know, if this works out, I'll have this ejector in all three of the rifles, like eventually 3 rifles. It'll be in 2 of these rifles. I'll have this screw in the 3rd rifle. But like the one I plan to get later, probably in a few months, is a 30-30 Marlin Texas Edition. Texas Edition. It will have the sling. I might not put scopes on them. I don't know. Maybe this one is the only one I'll have scope with. I don't know. Not 100% sure about that yet. But I probably will be changing out the sights to... I personally like... The one sight I like is the ghost ring. Not so much like the peep sight, but a rounder, bigger ghost ring. Because if you... In other words, the ghost ring, it's weird how your eye automatically, even though it looks like a big circle, you're looking through and you see that front sight post out there and you're looking through this big circle and it looks like the circle's too big. And yes, that could be for like real point target shooting, but a ghost ring sight could be very fast for just getting on target real quick. That's what you want. And faster than just a smaller peep sight. Basically, it's the same thing with a bigger, rounder hole for the sight that goes on the top here. I'll probably go with the ghost ring because these you know, the pistol calibers, they're really only good for about 100 yards, or maybe you can go 120. I don't know, but I mean, they start going like a mortar round after a while. They start. Well, I mean, they'll drop off like, I don't know what it is. Maybe 200 yards, they might drop like 2 feet or something, or more or something. But I mean, I guess you could do it if you really aim up there a lot. But and they slow down a lot too, because not that they won't work, but they're designed for under 100 yards or less. 300 feet. That's pretty good size distance, you know. And you really, for that distance, most of the time, the scope, the only scope, and I can't find them anymore. This is the thing that pisses. Well, you can find them, but they're not as many choices as you used to have. This one, I think, is a. What the hell is this thing? I think it's a fixed power. Yeah. This is good because this is a fixed power. I'd rather have a fixed power because a fixed power, even 2.5 power, 3 power, 2.5 to not even 4. I'd say 2.5 or 3 power with a wide cone angle coming out of here where you can kind of look at an angle. With fixed scope, they gather light pretty damn good. The fixed scope better than a variable with low power scope. This one works good at night. That's why I kind of like this damn thing. And I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the scopes on these later on. These ones, I might just go with the ghost ring. You know? I don't know. So, not quite sure yet. And there might be a little stainless steel thing up here with a black ghost ring on top of it to match this stainless steel thing here. How's that? Nice and cute? Anyway. Alright, nice stuff. Anyway, that's the way I'm going to go. Alright? And like I said, when you have anything that's, this rifle's been around since 1894. It's been very popular, right? Just as popular as 1894 Winchesters and, 1892s and whatever, the 1873s. They're very popular rifles for a reason. There's a reason they stood the test of time, because they're very great. They're great rifles. And if there's a slight little problem today with something, the way something was, or whatever, personally I don't like that screw, not you having to take out a screw to freaking take down a lever to do a field strip. But that problem's resolved with Ranger Point precision screw. But anything else, you can make these even better than they were when new. And this is where the beauty of the machinist and the aftermarket comes into play. And that's why, the Harley Davidson and the old small block Chevy with the flat tappet cam has been surviving for so long. It's a classic, and it's the reason it's a classic. It just works, right? But besides, I don't know if I got this sling. I don't know if Ranger Point Precision sells slings, but I know I got this from Montana Slings. This one, I forgot where I got this one from. It's a nice sling too. This one was easy to install. It's from Montana Slings. Again, another American company run by entrepreneurs that are individuals, freedom-loving individuals too. So anyway, over now.